Hi everyone, this video is going to be giving some information about college in the United States. So, some information about me. My name's Ronald Shaju. I graduated from UTRGV with my bachelor's in biology. And right now I'm pursuing a master's in business administration with a focus on healthcare administration. And I plan to graduate this May from my MBA, and I have been accepted to start medical school through an early assurance program in July of this year in 2023. So early assurance program just means that I applied to a program which gave me conditional acceptance into a medical school while I was in 12th grade of high school. So I've also worked with over 4,000 students, teaching them about the importance of going to college and the steps that they can take in order to go to college. And I've worked with these students all over Texas, and I have been doing so for the last almost 2 years now. So today we're going to be talking about a career and how that's the first thing you have to select before going into college. There's people that go into college without knowing what career they want to go into, and that's fine, but preferably knowing what career you want to go into is ideal. Next, you're going to want to pick a college, and we're going to go over how people can pick the college that they want to go into and the steps for applying to college and actually getting accepted. It's a really simple process once you understand all the nuances of it. So, the last thing we're going to talk about is paying for college, which is also a very, very big deal. So, career is the first step. When you're trying to choose a career, there's a lot of things you can do. Most people already have somewhat of an idea of what they want to go into, and extracurriculars are a great way to get exposed to different careers through opportunities like shadowing. You can actually see what it's like working for a specific career. And then after that, once you have a career in mind, like for me, I knew I wanted to go into medical school. So the first thing I did after I had my career is picking a college. So you want to try to pick a college that has the career that you want to go into. So there's a lot of colleges that are in the United States. So you want to see the degrees that they have, and you can figure out if that college is a fit for the career you want to pick. So there's a lot of terminology that gets thrown around when it comes to college. And the first thing we talk about is the types of degrees. So, first type of degree is an associate's degree. This is something you get through 2 year college programs. And usually these are offered by some community colleges, some universities as well. The one that we're talking about is bachelor's degree next. So bachelor's degree is a 4 year program in college, and this is what people usually refer to as their undergraduate or their bachelor's or just their degree. So bachelor's is really important because you can't apply to doctorate school or master's or a lot of jobs without a bachelor's degree. There's certain jobs like computer science, computer engineering, where you can stop at the bachelor's, which is after 4 years of college, and you can apply to jobs. Now, after bachelor's, you have your master's and your doctorate. So the master's degree is also something that is optional. You can get your master's and then start working. Master's degrees are usually 1 to 2 years. And then that can lead to higher pay. If you want to go into something like law school or medical school, then a master's isn't required. It will help to make your application look better when you're applying to medical school and law school, but for the most part, you don't need a master's degree. Now, another type of graduate degree is doctorate. So, any kind of medical school, law school, dental school, anything like this, which requires a bachelor's degree and you go into afterwards, is considered graduate school. So, Just to touch on the prerequisites for medical school, I know a lot of people wonder if you have to go down a specific degree route. Do you have to have a degree in biology, a degree in chemistry? What do you need in order to go to medical school? Now, the thing about medical school is that there's actually no set degree that you need to choose in order to qualify to go into medical school. There's just some courses you have to take. Now, these courses are for the UTRGV School of Medicine, and you had to take English, biological sciences, biochemistry, chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, and statistics. This is for that medical school. So different medical schools may have different prerequisites, but if you take the prerequisite courses, you can have a degree in anything you want. Okay, you can pursue a bachelor's degree in art or music or whatever it may be, but you just need to make sure that you have the prerequisite courses. So it's usually easier to pick a degree that's in the sciences like biology or chemistry because they will usually have all the prerequisite courses in that degree already. Now, preparing for the cost of college, when trying to pick a college, there's a lot of decisions that go into it. The first one I want to talk about is cost. So college can be expensive. And as you can see, there's not only tuition and fees, there's a whole lot of other costs that come into going to college. So you have to pay for your room and board, you have to pay for your books, your travel, all this different stuff are things that you have to pay for when you apply to college. Now, there's different types of universities in America. So there's community colleges, which are local colleges in your area. There's also state colleges, which are usually a little bit more prestigious. They have more 4-year degree plans, bachelor degree plans, and they cost a little bit more, as you can see. Next, we have private universities. So these are universities like Harvard, like Yale, universities that are not public, are not primarily funded by the government. So they have a much larger price tag. But if you're interested in one of these colleges, these prestigious private universities, they offer a lot of aid. So you can apply and see if you qualify for some of that aid, or if you can apply to some of their scholarships, which we're going to talk about later. So those are the 3 types of colleges or universities that are in America. Now, you can go to a community college if you don't get into a prestigious or state college, your community college is still a great option. You can go to community college and then go for maybe a year or 2 years, and universities let you transfer, which means if you have a high enough GPA, which is a grade point average, an average of all your grades, if you have a high enough GPA, you can write essays and then apply to be a transfer student into the state college. So you can go to the community college for a year, 2 years, and then if you get accepted, move to a private university or state college. This is a great option, especially if you don't want to spend a lot of money, because you can do those 2 years at the cheaper community college and then move on to the private university, which is more costly. Now, another really important thing when it comes to paying for college is there's both in-state and there's out-of-state. So colleges inside your state, if you're classified as a resident there, are a lot cheaper than out-of-state universities. So if you want to go to a university that's outside of your state, it's going to cost you a lot more than just applying to universities that are inside your state. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the steps for applying to college. Now, as soon as you get to college, the first thing you want to do is start doing extracurriculars, and you want to start doing things like research, all of these different opportunities that exist. If you start in the beginning of college, then you can do these activities throughout your 4 year start of high school. You can do these activities all throughout your 4 years of high school, and then it makes you seem like a more well-rounded student, which can help in college applications. Next thing we're going to talk about is SATs and ACTs. I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about this in a second, but these are 2 standardized tests that are available. You can take these tests, and then most universities will require a score on the SAT or ACT. You don't need to take both. You can take one, but usually people try to see which one they can do better at. So they'll take both. It doesn't have to be an official, you go to the testing site. You can take these at home and then see which one you're better at. And then you can go into the testing site and take it and actually get it scored and submit that score to colleges. Once you finish testing, the next thing you want to do is work on your personal statement. So a personal statement is just any kind of essay that the university is going to require. So most of the time, universities are going to require some kind of essay that you have to write. And then after that, you're going to, this essay is really important because there's a lot of people that will get a perfect score on the SAT or the perfect score on the ACT. They won't get a single question wrong, but they'll still get rejected from universities. This is because American universities use a holistic approach when looking at candidates. So they look at their test scores, they look at their resume, they look at their personal statement, they try to gauge their extracurricular everything, and then that's how they make a decision if they're going to admit them or not. So after the personal statement, you're going to see a lot of lists about the different activities and honors that you've received throughout high school. This is when it becomes important to think about everything you've done since 9th grade all the way to 12th grade. What were the things you did? Put them all there so then they can see your interests and what you did. You don't want to start this your junior, senior, or your 10th grade or 12th grade year, because then it just looks like you're doing these activities to put it on your college resume. So you want it to look as though you've been interested in them all 4 years. After that, you're going to finalize your college list, which means look at all the colleges you're going to want to apply to, look if they offer your degrees, look if you financially you can afford them. And then you're going to do financial aid, which we're also going to talk about in a little bit. So that's just a brief overview of everything. It says on here that you want to start your SAT or ACT in 11th grade, but if you can start before that, that's even better. So the more time you give yourself, the more used you can get to the SAT or ACT, the better it is. So what do colleges look for? We kind of talked about this already, but as you can see here, SAT, ACT scores are a big part, but they're not everything. You have extracurriculars, you have academic records. So you want to make sure all 4 years you're taking also rigorous courses. So if you have two students, one student took easy classes throughout their 4 years in high school, and one student took rigorous AP or dual enrollment credits throughout high school, that student, and let's say the student that took harder classes received a lower GPA, they're probably still going to be looked at better than the student that took easy classes, because colleges want to see that you're able to take these rigorous classes and do well in them. GPA is also a really important factor. If that's how colleges can see that you did well in the classes that you took. And so this just goes to show the full picture. We have also the SAT2 tests, which are the subject tests. These are tests that are specific to math, biology, some class like this, and that those SAT tests are required by very few universities. But if you can take that test and do well, it's harder test, so it looks really good when you're applying. So again, this is just a list of things that colleges look for in applications. First things first is the application. You want to have your application ready with all your information. Next thing, most of them are going to require personal essays. The next part is supplemental essays. So once you finish your personal essay, sometimes colleges will read them and then they'll reach out to you about doing supplementals, or they'll just have them right off the bat. But these are extra essays or short answer responses that you need to fill out, and they'll usually be around 150 to 300 words each. And this just, again, helps the colleges get a better idea of you as a student. Next, we have recommendations. So throughout the year, you want to build relationships with your teachers. So all the way from 9th to 12th grade, and you want to build relationships with the people that you did research with, the people you volunteered with, all these different things, because colleges ask for recommendations on their behalf. So they can submit a recommendation talking about you as a student, and this helps them gauge what kind of student you are. And so recommendations are something that's really important, something you can do if, let's say, you built a really good connection with your teacher in 9th grade or 10th grade. You can ask them to do a recommendation letter for you, just email it to themselves. And then once you get to 12th grade, you can ask them to submit that recommendation they had wrote, because you don't want to waste a lot, you don't want to wait a lot of time and then they don't really remember you as a student. Next thing is high school transcripts. So high school transcripts are really important. These transcripts are going to have every single grade that you received throughout high school and your GPA, which is a big factor. And this is where colleges are also able to see if you took harder AP classes or dual enrollment classes. AP and dual enrollment classes are really important. So AP classes are accepted by most universities, and it's a class where you take a test at the end, and that test is going to gauge if you understood the class well or not. And if you did, then you will actually, if you get a high enough score, you can skip that class or get credit for that class once you get to college. So it's a really great opportunity. Dual credit is a little different. It's when you're taking a class and that grade you get all just transfers for your college for that class. So if you took pre-calculus as a dual enrollment class, then at the end of the year, you'll be able to have a college grade and a high school grade. And so you won't have to take pre-calculus again once you get to college. Thing is though, these dual enrollment credits are not accepted by a lot of universities, only certain universities. So AP credits are usually better if you want them to be able to transfer. The next thing you want to do is your SAT and ACT. So your SAT and ACT, like we said before, really important. These are the tests that you take in order to apply for college. So do you SAT and ACT, do you have to take these tests? Most colleges will require an SAT or ACT. There may be some community colleges that don't require it, but for the most part, universities require the SAT and ACT. And you usually want to have your SAT or ACT done by latest by December. December is like a worst case scenario because you want to have these tests done beforehand so that you have enough time to retake it if you need to. The last date usually is December. Some schools accept into January, February, but this is more rare and it's case by case. And the thing is that some universities in America, what they do is they'll have rolling admissions, which means that people will be getting accepted from the beginning of the fall semester all the way through. So as time goes on, more spots are getting taken up. Now, these are some free resources for the SAT and ACT. There's Khan Academy, which offers free practice tests, free practice, all of that for the SAT. College Board has 8 free practice tests, which you can utilize. And then Reddit, if you go and look up free practice tests for the ACT or SAT, you're going to be able to find some as well. Now, how do you apply to college? To apply to college, you can apply through the Common Application or the Common App. This has most universities in the United States, and it's a great way for you to apply to those universities. Different universities have different dates where you have to submit your application by, so you have to look at these different universities and see what their dates are. But for the most part, it will be at the end of fall or the beginning of spring. So somewhere between December and March, but make sure to look for your own deadlines for the universities you're interested in. Now, next thing we're going to talk about is how there's some university systems like the University of Texas system or the University of California system, they have their own application portal. So to apply to these universities, you actually have to go to their website and see where can I apply. They have their own website, their own requirements. So you have to do that on your own. Now, I'm from Texas, so I utilize this website called Apply Texas, which has all the Texas schools, and it's just one application for them. This is limited to Texas residents, but you can check if your state has something like this. Now, these are some important dates. So these dates, like I said before, they are not set in stone. Different universities will have different dates, but the first due date we're going to see is November 1st, and this is for early decision. So early decision is just a type of application that's available where you can apply and you only apply to one university. And they're going to review your application, tell you if you got in or not early. And then if you got in, you have to go. There's no choice, it's binding. If you didn't get in, then you can apply to all the universities after that. So early decision is something that is for students that are set in stone. They know they want to go to a certain university, and the upside for early decision is that if you are applying as an early decision student, you're applying with a smaller group of people, and so you are also demonstrating more interest in the university. Next thing we're going to talk about is early action. This is another way you're showing colleges that you're really interested in them, but it doesn't have the binding principle that early decision has. And so this is usually due by December 1st. Now we have February 1st, which is usually the regular admission. This is not, this is when you're not doing early decision, early action. And it's when most colleges will let you know if you need to submit anything, and then after that all applications will usually close. But the earlier that you can submit, even if you're doing regular admission, you can submit earlier and it gives you a better chance to hear back, and you won't risk spots being taken up. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is scholarships. So America has a ton of scholarships. There's scholarships given for people that can write with their left hand. So there's millions and millions of dollars in scholarships that go unclaimed every year. So it's really important that you apply to scholarships. I was actually able to get all of my undergraduate paid for through scholarships, and I had leftover money every semester that I was able to utilize for anything that I needed to use. And it wasn't even specific to school. They direct deposited the money into my bank account. So there's a lot of scholarships that are like that. There's institutional scholarships as well. This is a little different from the first website I showed you, which is just general scholarships. Institutional scholarships is money that the university gives. Now, the cool thing about this is that there's money that the alumni or people like that will donate to the university. And by law, the university is only allowed to use this money for scholarships. They can't use it for any kind of renovations, improvements, nothing like that. This money is just kept in an account, and it's only for students. So students are the only ones that can use it for their scholarships. So if you can apply to these institutional scholarships that most universities have, that can bring down the cost. There's also private scholarships that are available through certain companies. So local ones or big ones like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. There's a lot of different scholarships that exist that you just need to apply to and see if you can take advantage of. Now, this is a program for the university I'm a part of, but I just wanted to use it as an example because a lot of universities use this. So the university offers free tuition for anyone whose family makes under $125,000. Now, this is also available for a different array of universities. And so you can look at the university you want to go to, look if they have a tuition advantage program like this, which can bring your expenditure to zero for tuition. And if you make more, they can give you a reduced tuition amount. Now, next thing we're going to talk about is FAFSA. This is federal student aid. So federal student aid means money that's given by the federal government. Sometimes it needs to get repaid, sometimes it doesn't. And this is available for all US citizens and permanent residents. And I've also listed some other groups who qualify for FAFSA. And so you have to submit the FAFSA in the beginning of your 12th grade year. The earlier you do it, the better, because FAFSA is first come, first serve. So after a while, the funds are going to get used up and you probably won't be able to have anything for you. So the FAFSA works in the way that it gives more funds to people that have lower family income. So if you have lower family income, then you can apply to this. And this is another great way for you to get money from the government to pay for your college. Now, that's it for the presentation. As a review, I'm going to go back to the outline slide. the first thing you want to do is look at a career that you want to go into, whether it be medicine, law, whatever it is. And then you want to pick either a community college, a university. You want to try to find one which offers the degree for that career that you wanted to do. Next, you want to look at the steps for applying to that university that has the degree that you want. And you want to look at the costs that the university has and see, after everything, how much are you going to want to pay. So there's also different costs that are throughout the process of applying to college. You have to pay to take the SAT, you have to pay to take the ACT, but there's waivers given if you make under a certain amount. There's also application costs associated with every single university usually, so you have to pay to apply to these colleges. So all of this comes into consideration when you want to apply to college. So you want to think about the costs, you want to think about which colleges you want to apply to, and then try to submit your application on time with all the requirements, and try to get those requirements done early so that you can be successful in your endeavors. Thank you.